Welcome to another enlightening episode of PrimeTimes with Attorney Leah. We are beyond grateful for having a guest, not only because of her capacity to serve our country, but also as a woman with grit and mettle to not withstand anything that is set before her. It is with my great pleasure to introduce Secretary Clarita Carlos. Good morning, ma'am.
Hi, good morning, Leah.
Ma'am, when you were growing up, did you really feel that you would want to be the woman that you are right now, or you had other plans?
Well, I really didn't have big plans, because I was just winging it all the way and studying very hard and just wanting to be a scientist all the time. Although, it has just always been my dream to be a scientist, which scientist I really don't know, and I ended up to be a social scientist.
Ma'am, being a social scientist, can you explain briefly ano po ba yung pagiging social scientist and what is its impact in our society nowadays?
There are two kinds of scientists depending on the issue area that you're investigating. The natural scientists are the ones working in the laboratories. They're not talking about human behavior. They are using reagents. They're chemists, and but the social scientists really have a very delicate subject area, and that's the human being. That's the reason why social scientists rarely make any declaration, and if at all, their declarations are usually tentative declarations because at any point they can be countered by better data, better empirical evidence, and that's how it is. The scholarship of any science, for that matter, would be such that it is always open to falsifiability.
As a prominent figure in on international relations, what do you see as best practices for women na gusto pong makapunta po sa inyong linya ng trabaho? Kasi hindi naman po maraming masasabi nating ating mga kababaihan ang dumiretso po sa ganitong linya eh. And you are one of the few who had the grit, who had the mettle to actually be there and provide impact sa ating mga kababayan sa inyong trabaho. So ano ma'am ang sa tingin ninyong best practices or kung ano yung maia-advise ninyo sa mga gusto pong pumasok sa ganyang linya ng trabaho, ma'am?
Unang-una, siguro tayo ay isang bansa, Leah, na talagang we're so far ahead in terms of the gender issue. In fact, it is not an issue at all. Gender doesn't matter. But still, the real politic tells us that you will have to confront resistance to being a woman, being a civilian, and that's the first resistance that I confronted when I became president of the National Defense College in 1998. In most people were betting there na hindi yan si Carlos, hindi na yan tatagal ng 2 linggo. Dadapa na yan, no? And I proved them wrong. I was there for 3.5 years, for a tenure of 6 years, which I cut short for many valid reasons, which I will not discuss now. And then, of course, when I became NSA, again, it became an issue of gender. I was not military, I was civilian. And again, I proved them wrong. Gender does not matter. Gender is not a predictor variable. That's the reason why we don't even have glass ceilings. We have how many presidents have we had who are women? And did it matter to us? No, because you can be a woman and you can be a mediocre person. You can be a man and you can be a mediocre person. The gender does not matter really.
I have to agree on that, Secretary Carlos, kasi people still think that gender daw is still an issue, pero in reality, it's never an issue. It's how you are as a person and how you contribute eh. So ma'am, my next question. Ito, sure ako, hindi lahat ng kalalakihan maisasagot ito at umaasa kami ma'am na mabigyan mo po kami ng linaw tungkol ho dito. Ma'am, with the ongoing disputes in the West Philippine Sea, how do you assess the current administration, ngayon po kay President BBM, approach to safeguarding Philippine interests in the region, and what strategies would you recommend moving forward?
Well, even while I was NSA, I already had taken the view that continuing conflict based on territory and sovereignty will not get us anywhere. Why? Because the undergirding of the kinds of things that uh, you know separate us, that divide us as humans, would be territory and sovereignty, which can never be resolved. Why? Because the land, the airspace, the waters, they cannot be divided. It is only us, it is only the Europeans who introduced the concept of nation state. I think you know that, Leah,
Yes,
being
ma'am.
a lawyer, in the treaties of Westphalia, where they said that from now on, you have nation states, and the nation states will be bound by metes and bounds of this latitude, this longitude. But before then, there was no such concept of nation state. That's the reason why, our ancestors really were just uh, fishing in the South China Sea, fishing in the Sulu waters, and the Kalimantan, Indonesia, Malaysia. They were adjoining the areas. They were not really political entities. So where am I going? It is only the concept of the nation state that put us into this, uh, you know, fulcrum of conflict, so that we are quarreling over the seas. We stupid people are dividing the South China Sea into six, when we know that the fish they're in, they think of themselves as just one ecology, one ocean. So where are we going with this? I think the president, because I know that coming in as his NSA, is being buffeted by both domestic and foreign forces. And he's doing his darndest best to really to balance our national interest vis-a-vis our security interest, vis-a-vis our economic interest. And that's a very, very difficult balance to sustain, let alone, to be the basis of medium to long-term policies. So what is to be done? First of all, we don't want to go to war with China or with anyone for that matter. Second of all, we don't want to be the appendage of the United States of America, and we don't want to be the one in between the two major powers, China and the U.S., because they want to go to war. Let them go to war in their own territories. Okay, so I think our red lines are quite clear. Bongbong Marcos already said Taiwan is a province of China. I mean, how much more categorical can he be? Also,
Ma-
President Bongbong Marcos also declared that the EDCA sites cannot be used by any power as takeoff points for any of their adventures. How much more categorical can he be? So yeah, let's move away from territory and sovereignty. I mean, we'll all be dead and we cannot resolve that issue. And let's move into the low politics area of people-to-people exchanges, cooperation among marine scientists, and the like.
You mentioned about Taiwan and the existing conflict between Taiwan and China, right? Ma'am, of course, they are our neighbors here in our country. They give, employment facilitation towards our kababayans. Ma'am, do you see any light soon between Taiwan and China? And if yes or no, how can we still uphold our national interests in both the countries without, being biased towards one over the other?
As I said, let's just go back to the categorical declaration of our one China policy. Taiwan is the province of China. When Chiang Kai-shek was defeated by Mao Zedong, he ran to Formosa. It's also called Taiwan. Why will he run to Formosa? Because Taiwan is a province of China. Otherwise, if China were an alien country, why will Chiang Kai-shek go there? Okay, there are many, many historical and other legal basis for why Taiwan is a part of China. So, if you will content analyze the views of Deng Xiaoping, Xi Jinping now, note that Taiwan was never an issue for that matter. They were willing to wait. And you have a 5,000 year nation here, they are willing to wait. But who was the one needling them? Not to wait, but to, undertake other means for Taiwan to be part of the mainland. It is the United States of America, because I'm sure we don't need an IQ of 140 to know that the US does not want China to rise. Let us continue to uphold what our president and previous presidents have declared. Taiwan is a province of China.
Ma'am, do you think there has parang meron bang naging rise sa foreign policy developments natin dito sa ating bansa ever since na naupo ang ating presidente na si President Bongbong Marcos Jr.?
The way I see it, because foreign policy is not something which is written in granite, no. Foreign policy is like a constitution; it's a living thing. In other words, you are going to navigate your way through. You are going to calibrate it according to certain mentioned broad strokes. That's the reason why you have what is called the national strategy. You have red lines. Okay. So I think what is happening right now, if you recall, Leah, at the start of the president's administration, he declared quite categorically again, China is a friend, a neighbor, and a partner. I mean, how much more categorical can that be again? And Xi Jinping, if we will recall, I think about a week ago at the conclusion of the National People's Congress, also declared we are advocating shared resources, shared prosperity, shared future. So where is the beef? Asa ba yung shared resources diyan? Ay parang kayo na lang yan nangingisda diyan at wala namang kaming nakukuha miski isang galunggong. So, I'm exaggerating to make a point. The point is, you declare a fishing holiday, hindi nyo man kami tinatanong. That's the reason why, siguro, Leah, I would like to introduce to your audience, no? I am writing a book on regional fishing agreement. I'm sure you know it's worth, as a lawyer, you present a legal framework for all the claimants on the East and the South China Sea. And that is the one they will talk about, fish, about sea plants, about the ocean and its ecology. They will not talk about territory and sovereignty. They will talk about the ocean, which is one ocean, one ecology. Do you see the difference in the
Yes.
philosophical undergirding here? Not
Yes.
only that, in my continuing conversation with people from the Chinese embassy here, I just keep on pounding on their head that let us move away from the verb own. Let us move towards to protect, to take care of, from ownership to stewardship. I'm sure,
Correct.
yeah, you see the legal implication of that
Yes.
when you move from protecting the ocean, the airspace, the land, into owning it. Wag
Correct.
mong akuin, wag mong tapaan yan.
Tek, ang ganda ng sinabi mo about ownership as opposed to stewardship. Because at the end of the day, no one really would own naman yung tong mga natural resources natin. We are here to steward over it. So ngayon, kung pag-uusapan ho natin ng ecology, lahat naman po kaya naman pong providean yan eh. Everybody can be provided with the resources that the ocean can give. So rather than owning and creating beef, bakit hindi po natin tayo mag-unite and protect one another or protect man lang ma'am yung mga resources na kaya ibigay po ng ecology na ito. Ang ganda ma'am yan I think this would be good na mapag-usapan further. Kasi ownership versus stewardship, and that is a very intellectual input to give. Hindi po kasi alam ng ating mga kababayan yung okay, ang alam lang nag-aaway ang China, nag-aaway ang Pilipinas. Pero at the end of the day, sino naman po ba yung nakikinabang sa away? Nagkakagulo lang po, ma'am eh. So, ma'am, as I understand, you are working now at the House of the Representatives, correct, ma'am?
Yes,
Okay.
that's right.
Ma'am, how different it is working for the House of Representatives and that of other facets of the government ngayon? Because I really want to know, as a person, ma'am, how do you handle the transitions that you have been presented all throughout your life? So now, paano po yan, national government agency as to the House of Representatives? Meron po bang difference towards the people you work with or the work na you are given? What is the difference, ma'am, for Clarita Carlos?
Siguro similarities muna. Similarity would be I'm still working on the issue areas of foreign policy, defense, and security. Similarity, difference would be that before I would give my memos to the president, to Bongbong Marcos. Now I give my memos to Speaker Martin because he is my only principal, because I am his chief policy advisor on security matters. In terms of difference of the environment of work, I think that's a huge difference because the NSC environment is so toxic, Like I'm sure you know, Leah,
Yes.
coming in that everybody just wants to get rid of me from day one. So, di masaya na sila ngayon dahil wala na ako doon. No, masaya na rin ako sa House of Representatives kasi I have an office there and I have a very good relationship with the Speaker and many of the 350 legislators. And yeah, I feel so useful there as a scholar and as a foreign policy research person. Yeah, I'm happy where I am.
We can see that the decisions of President Bongbong Marcos have been garnering support all around the world with regard to foreign policy decisions. Diba? Kasi ma'am, pinapakinggan po talaga ang ating presidente. Ma'am, ang tanong ko po sa inyo is, do you think our president and that of his family and that of his cabinet, are they pressing the right buttons pa Kasi ma'am, meron pa pong 4 years. Meron pang 4 na taon si President Bongbong Marcos at ang kanyang gabinete. Ma'am, sa tingin nyo, are they pressing the right buttons na maiangat palalo ang ating bansa towards, betterment ng ating mga kababayans?
I've seen the president for 6.5 months when I was in cabinet. He's a very hard worker. Minsan 4 na oras ang aming cabinet meeting, parang hindi siya napapagod. A very decent person, hindi ka nagtataas siya ng boses, malumanay magsalita. And maybe that's also one of his handicaps kasi masyado siyang mabayat, no? As I'm sure without naming names, Leah, ang dami sa mga nagtatrabahong sa kapaligiran niya, they're just marching in place. Sana magkaroon siya ng wisyo na palitan yung mga taong yon, no? And he should start kicking ass and really change those people who are non-performing assets, no? Mga NPAs na tinatawag natin. So I'm sorry to be cruel, but that's how I read it.
You are just being honest, Secretary Carlos. Ma'am, given your expertise in international relations, how do you evaluate the current administration's handling of diplomatic relations with key allies and neighboring countries? Not yung mga may conflict tayo, ma'am. Sa tingin niyo po ba naaalagaan pa natin yung friendship, or do we, handle further na pwede nating mahone pa na harmony amongst our neighboring regions and that of our allies?
Yeah, talking of allies, I think we should really focus on the ASEAN, because the ASEAN 9, we are ASEAN 10, are really, we grew up together as newly independent countries and facing challenges together, sometimes, having misunderstandings and the like, and so on. So I think we should keep on pushing ASEAN to move towards not only regional cooperation, but regional integration. That's the reason why I gave a book to both Speaker Martin and President Bongbong, my book on ASEAN Parliament, because the ASEAN Parliament will provide the legal framework for regional legislation that will govern the relationship among the ASEAN 10. Talking of other allies, I'm sure you've heard that yesterday, I think they announced that Biden has invited President Bongbong and Fumio Kishida to Washington, D.C. to talk about maybe security matters. And I was wondering why Biden is doing this. He has invited months ago South Korea, Yoon, and Fumio Kishida, Japan, for also a Camp David summit leading to a trilateral security pact. He did not invite our president, and I've been asking the question now. Now he's inviting the president, and they have a troika now with Japan, Philippines, and the U.S. So why not just, if U.S. wants to put beef in what is declaring verbally, why not a quadrilateral security pact? Japan, South Korea, Philippines, and the U.S. And why not adopt Article 5 of NATO instead of the half-baked mutual defense treaty? Why not Article 5 of the NATO, which is there is automaticity in the response?
How do you think the Philippines can have a bigger role in our ASEAN position? And how can we promote, ma'am, stability in the Asia-Pacific region? Kasi we were just talking about, okay, let's focus on something that can really benefit others. And I think our membership in the ASEAN can really do that. So, ma'am, sa tingin po ninyo ba, can we have a bigger role in our ASEAN membership? And how can we promote stability and further good relations towards that?
You should read my dedication in that book on ASEAN Parliament when I gave it to President Bongbong. I said, I even remembered because I wrote it while I was there in the cabinet before I gave it to him after the meeting. And I said, you should be the leader of Southeast Asia. You should be the leader of ASEAN. Because, during the time of his father, the first Marcos, when Marcos speaks, and he usually speaks extemporaneous, he sets aside his the speeches given to him. Everybody listens. Even Lee Kuan Yew cannot have have any say. So that's how we are, and we are going still to be we have a very, very good opportunity to be the leader of Asia. Joko Widodo already has finished his term. You have a new one who's the former defense minister. There is no one in the horizon really who could be the leader of ASEAN or Southeast Asia for that matter. We should be that leader. How do we do it? With great difficulty. But if the president and those around him have the political commitment and courage to do it, we can do it. Why not?
So Carlos, do you think we are ready to be a leader of the ASEAN within the ASEAN, ma'am? Do you think the Philippines is ready?
Getting ready is not a state of things. Getting ready is, it's like a gerund. It's an ing thing. So that means we have the wherewithal. We have the fifth most mineralized countries in the world. We are rich, actually, natural resources wise. We are rich, human resources wise. We have millions of, professionals like you, me, scholars, scientists, etc. Put them all together, and we can be the leader of Southeast Asia.
Ma'am, do you think nahihirapan yung presidente natin na i-handle po tong mga present na issues at mga concerns ng ating bansa? Kasi ma'am, when he went in, he was not given, oh, ito yung gagawin natin, ito ganyan. Because problems arise every day. New problems arise every day. Challenges, difficulties. Pero ma'am, do you think nahihirapan ba ang ating presidente? And if so, sa tingin niyo ma'am, paano po niya mababawasan pa yung nararamdaman niyang hirap? And kung hindi naman siya nahihirapan, kung sa tingin po ninyo, ano po ang kaya niya pa pong gawin para mapadali pa po ang trabaho ng mga kasamahan niya around not only Malacanang but everybody in government?
Which is in one person here. It's really so difficult. You have too many things on your plate, and like every minute seems to be like a mini crisis, which becomes a major crisis, and suddenly explodes in your face. But if the president has the broad strokes, the basic the fundamental principles of how he shall govern, then he can in fact delegate to his lieutenants what needs to be done. But to repeat what I said earlier, I hope the president will start kicking ass and really replace those people who are not really performing and no longer have any innovation and creative things in their mind, just marching in place. Because we can blaze ahead and really be one of the emerging economies. I mean, look at our economic fundamentals, which was just reported yesterday. They're all glowing and they're all green. So what are we doing? But there are some really rogues in government, those who are non-performing, those who are just marching in place, and I'm sure the president knows that. So it's really a big task to head this 110 million Filipinos, but the president has to be helped by us. After all, the government does not have any authority except those that we the people, had given it. So, for as long as he has the trust, his trust rating is still fairly high. I think it is in the upper 40s. And I think that's good. For example, in agriculture, perfecting the value chain and so on, like in energy, getting it, more accessible as well as more affordable for people like us and the like. But there are too many moving parts. So maybe, in the first meeting, I remember that the president declared that he wanted to right-size government. But immediately I interjected there and I said, Mr. President, no one will abolish himself or merge with another agency and the like, which is what right-sizing is all about. It has to be done by an external agency. And I can see that there is legislation moving now. I think it's now moving to the Senate from the House, where there is one agency in government which will be in charge of that. No one agency of government cannot be in charge of bureaucratic reform. It has to be done by an external entity. And I continue to avert that.
I don't know if it was yesterday or the other day ago, but it was said na ipasa na on third reading yung charter change, ma'am. May I know, ma'am, your opinion or your input or insight na pwede pong matutunan ng ating mga kababayan towards that. Ma'am, sa tingin po ba ninyo, may suporta po ito ng ating mga legislators, both in the House and in the Senate? And as I understand, the President himself wanted to have the charter change done. So, in your intellectual opinion, ma'am, in your most honest opinion, do you think this would fly? Do you think this would be done expediently? Do you think that this would really impact positively towards our kababayans?
Just a little bit of history in response to your excellent question. 1935 Constitution was done when we were still under American occupation. If you will notice, dami nating kinopya doon sa American Constitution. Pati yung bicameral natin, di tayo dapat magkaroon ng Senate. Kinopya na lang natin. Dami nating kinopya na hindi akma sa ating political culture, no? Socio-political culture. Then pagkatapos ng 1935, anong sumunod? Di ba 73? 73, of course, bago 35, yung malolos, no? Then after 73, then you have 87. constitutions are living documents. They're not really written in granite and they immovable thing. They are living documents. At the time they were crafted, they reflect the political, the social, the economic environment at the time. And therefore, when those aspects of your environment have changed, isn't it time to change also the constitution? Ang daming tanikala. No, may tanikala sa English. Change, no? Ang daming tanikala na nilagay natin sa constitution natin. We're supposed to be a part of the globalized world, Leah. And yet, ang dami nating nilalagay doon na puro Filipino una, Filipino first. Filipino first policy is at the time we were decolonizing, no? Our minds and things on the ground. Tama na yan, Filipino first. So I said, kung sino man right now, whoever provides us the best services, they can be from ewan ko kung Jupiter siguro, just to exaggerate to make a point, no? Is the one who cares about ownership. Does it matter to you, Leah? I don't care about ownership. I care about efficient and effective service.
Do you think mapapabilis, ma'am, ang pagpasa ng batas na ito?
My concern really is that it will be questioned in the Supreme Court, whether as a solution by both houses, if it is passed, may in fact have the effect of amending some parts of the Constitution. Kasi mag-a-amend ka eh. No?
Correct.
Oo. Pero sana, the ideal situation sa akin, ang gusto ko talaga is really a revision of the Constitution. Pag nakita mong infirmed na siya, huwag lang yung isang parte ang pakialaman mo. Kasi pag pinakailaman mo yung economic, ay meron niyang pinsan niya ng political.
I have to agree with you also, ma'am, on one facet na you just said. It is time for change. We cannot really be stuck on something archaic. We have to have innovation. And I think, ma'am, as a leader, you provided that innovation when you were in the NSA, when you were helping out, ma'am, with the House. So my next question, ma'am, is, sa tingin niyo po ba, ma'am, over the next 4 years, matutupad po ba ang mga goals and objectives ng ating Pangulo, not only with the foreign policy developments po, pero doon sa overall na parang pangarap or vision niya nung siya ay naiupo as president?
Napakahaba pa ng panahon ang 4 years. We're talking, 1,400 days. Mahaba yan. Oh, marami
Yes,
pang magagawa niyan. Pero kung meron kang listahan ng priorities, siguro balikan natin yung sinabi ko kanina, ayusin natin ang bureaucracia. Yung overlap, yung duplications, yung unclear lines of authority, yung bungguan ng mga authorities, no? Tama ka sa sinabi mo kanina. As you amend, you're in fact revising. Kasi bilang lawyer, alam mong the moment you change the power configuration of any entity, you are revising already. Diba? So, let's not quibble about that, no? Kaya sana nga, daanin natin dun sa constitutionally provided for initiative, Constituent Assembly, tapos Constitutional Convention. Any of those three should be the avenue by which you revise the Constitution. And as I said, gawin mo na lang incremental. Kung gusto mo, unahin mo economic, pero sundan mo siya ng political and social, etc. Kasi magkakadugtong yan.
Do you think marami pa rin korap dito sa ating gobyerno?
Yes, kasi alam mo yung corruption, nakita ko rin yan nung president ako ng National Defense College, no? Hindi mo makikita yung corruption hanggang hindi ka insider. Yan siguro palawigin mo, siguro alam mo yung meets and bounds ng whistleblower. Protektahan natin yung magsasabi nung how corruption is happening. I'm sure you observed in several government positions, di ba?
Correct,
Hindi mo makikita yun kung hindi ka insider. So,
correct.
parang kasi ang corruption parang puno yan eh. Siguro rin yug mo lang tapos naghuhulog-hulog yung mga dahon. Kailangan bunutin mo siya.
Yes.
Bunutin, yung root talaga yung ang hilahin mo. At talagang dapat magpreso ka ng tao. Wala naman napipreso kasi, no?
How important do you think transparency and accountability are in this government, ma'am? Kasi it's a fairly young government. It's only 2 years, right? So how do you think more transparency, more accountability? Sabi nyo nga, may maipreso man lang. Sa tingin niyo, ma'am, kaya pa po ba ng ating presidente at ng gobyerno na ito na ma-provide ang transparency at accountability na kailangan po?
We'll keep on confronting these two issues. These two, after all, transparency and accountability are the two hallmarks of democracy. Wala ka niyan, hindi na tayo democracy, no? So what do? As much as possible, although it will create unemployment as an unintended consequence, is reduce human intervention, no? Pag na-reduce mo yung human, kaya napaka-importante, hindi mo na-touch ito yung artificial intelligence, no?
Yes,
Generative artificial intelligence. But yes, this is a new technology. Let us ride on the train. and let us make use of it. Ang ganda talaga ng artificial intelligence kasi, nasa short circuit na yung research work natin, Lia, di ba? Minsan, imbis na gumagawa ka ng what have other authors done, what are the other legal decisions na ganito yung particular issue area, agad, meron siya, no?
Yes.
Of course, it's simply a
Yes.
guide to you, but you have the lay of the land. So let's make use of AI. AI is so great for diseases, yung kanilang mga meta-analysis, no? Imagine you have thousands of cancer research there, put them all together, and AI will look at what had been done and what are the predictor variables and the like. I'm so fascinated by AI, no? Even if I'm the fourth quarter of my life, I really would like to see that to help us with health, with education, particularly with agriculture. You know,
Yes.
favorite ko talaga yung agriculture kasi I come from a family of farmers sa Ilocos, ano. So pag
Yes,
may
sir.
nakikita akong tinutulungan ng AI yung the flourishing of agriculture, talaga I'm jumping up and down. Unang-una masipag tayong tao. Palagi, no. Yun
Yes,
ating
ma'am.
napakalaki nating attribute na napakaganda, masipag, no. And yung kasipagan na yan, lagyan natin yan ng teknolohiya.
Hmm.
Tulungan natin siya ng AI kasi andyan na siya eh, no? Ito yung
Yes.
magandang kopyahin, yung AI na, I mean, kopyahin na, total, open naman siya, may mga open sources, siyempre iba binibili mo.
Correct. Correct.
Let's ride on the train of technology because
Yes.
it will help really better the quality of human life.
As a last note, ako ma'am kasi it is judicial notice how much I admire you, not only as a public servant. You know that, ma'am. I have always told you directly.
Thank you.
Pinapagalitan mo ako, ma'am. You chastise me. Si Secretary Clarita Carlos, para po sa kaalaman ng lahat, hindi po yan ang bobola. Pag may mali ka, may mali ka. At sinasabi niya ho yan sa akin. So, ngayon, ma'am, gusto ko po kasi talaga malaman po ng ating mga kababayan. Can you give me, ma'am, who Clarita Carlos is with 3 adjectives?
3 words. Persistent, intelligently arrogant.
I would I would like I would like to resent arrogance because being confident and intellectual and actually knowing the metes and bounds of that sa sarili mo is not arrogance but actually is being aware of what you can share to others. And with
Yeah,
that,
but that's
yes, ma'am.
Leah, that's the best part about the scholarship. I'm sure you know that.
Yes,
If
ma'am.
you have data behind you, data is king. Then you shoot
Correct.
off your mouth and make your declaration. If your data is absent, you shut up. Ganun lang naman
Yes.
eh. Di ba simple-simple?
Perseverance and intelligent. And once again, I would like to defer that she is not arrogant, but rather she is aware of who she is as a woman and as a person. Thank you, Secretary Clarita Carlos, for guesting in our episode. Hindi mo lamang kami naturuan ng ating mga foreign policy developments, pero naturuan nyo kami muli magkapuso para mag-serve sa ating mga kababayan. For that, thank you, Secretary Clarita Carlos.
Thank you very much. Great pleasure to be part of your conversation. And I hope there will be future conversations on security and foreign policy, which are the less understood area of our political life. And maybe as on a final note, it does not cost much to be kind because kindness is the fulcrum of our humanity.
And this has been another episode of Prime Times with Attorney Leah. I wish you all a good day.